I know I talked about playing Persona 3 Reloaded a while back. I forgot how long ago. Maybe it was like last year, maybe closer to the winter, maybe the summer, something like that. But I remember specifically stating how I played that, but I never stated that I played the DLC. Now, at the time, I didn't want to play the DLC only because there were still other games going on that I wanted to play, and also because the DLC is just overpriced. I mean, that thing is what, like $40 or something like that. It's something ridiculous, but I waited for it to go on sale before I bought it, and it went on sale eventually. So I bought the DLC. Now, at the time, I didn't play it as soon as I got the DLC. I think I played it for like an hour or two or something like that. But then other games came out. Then with the release and me 100%ing Expedition 33, I was like, you know what? Turn-based games are pretty fun. Let me go back to Persona 3. I haven't done the DLC. Let me do it. I'm not going to lie. I think my perception of a good turn-based game has kind of been like spoiled in a way. I feel like I was a little spoiled with Expedition 33. Now, when I first played Persona 3, I thought it was amazing. I mean, given I was more, I guess you could say, I guess I was more turned to the actual dialogue aspect. Like, I was actually turned more towards how each character would interact with each other, how the social links worked, and just like the everyday combos you would have with other members of your party or just people around the world. The combat was all right, it wasn't something I was used to, but it was different and I liked it. But after playing Expedition 33, it kind of ruined how I looked at Persona as a series in their gameplay. Now, when I was playing this DLC, I got through like the first half of it pretty fine, but then it started to kind of become a drag. Now, I'm not sure if that was because of Expedition 33 or it was because the quality of the DLC. I have to admit, although I did enjoy the story and the continuation of the story of Persona 3, I think the DLC is just way overpriced for what it offers and just the gameplay stance on it. Like, I'll be honest, I was bored for like the last 10 hours of the DLC because at first, I was going through every level, every door, just fighting at least one enemy on every floor. Like, if there was like five enemies on the floor, I would fight those five enemies at least once. I wouldn't repeat it if I, had to go back and refresh my SP and then come back. I wouldn't do that. But it got to a point where I was like, this is kind of just boring. I didn't really care for it, especially since there wasn't any, I guess you could say, way for me to just leave the battles and then, spend the next like 6 days just chilling with the homies or something like that, or like just doing some like side stuff, like working my side job or going to karaoke. Like there wasn't any of that going on, and I'm glad that they brought like the vendors and stuff like that, like the police guy, uh, the crafting chick, and the medicine shop guy. I thought that was pretty cool, but it's like, you don't really go to them as much as you think you do. You get your money that you need, right? You buy a couple of, remedies. You buy the weapons that you're gonna need for like the next like couple hours or so, and then you're kind of set. Then you just don't visit them ever again. I gotta say, the story of the DLC was completely overshadowed by the bad combat, and it's funny too because it's the same exact combat as the base game. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe I kind of tarnished my view on turn-based games. Maybe my standard for it has gotten higher. I mean, I still think Baldur's Gate is still a top turn-based game along with Expedition 33, but it's like I don't know. It's like out of the three, I just Persona 3 has to be number 3, the lowest ranked one. And it's sad for me to say that cuz I actually really like Persona. Uh but it makes me scared to go into the other entries in the series because I feel like I'm going to be so bored with it. Because these are like 100-hour games. If you're going to be doing all the side content, this is a 100-hour game. And I'm sure that the actual main content, like me, interacting with characters and getting my social links up, is gonna be fine and all, but these games, at least the next installment, Persona 4, is a little dated. Not saying that's bad or anything, but that does affect how I think about a game. I've done this with Devil May Cry. The first three games are dated. While I do think three still holds up, the first two are just a little too old for my liking. And along with Metal Gear, although that game is very old, I still think that it was an interesting game, like gameplay wise. It's still dated, very dated, but that's just what the standard was of that time. If anything, it was above the standard of that time, but I still thought it was dated. But I don't know. I really hope that when I do play the other personas, it doesn't turn out the way I think it is. I really do hope I enjoy it. More so because I don't want to feel like I wasted my money. And, if you're 20 hours into a persona and you still don't like it, that's kind of like the bridge I would draw to be like, all right, you're not gonna like this game. Because they're usually a slow start, like you got to get all the characters, you got to actually get through the tutorial transition of the game, stuff like that. I don't know, but that DLC was good though. Like plot wise, I actually really I love Aiga. She's actually super cool. I actually really like the Metis too. I know she was a little bit too much sometimes, but I actually really like Metis as a character. And I'm glad I got to see all the homies again back in the dorm. It was actually kind of crazy seeing their flashbacks too of like, how would you say, their reason for awakening. I think they explained it. I think that was pretty cool. And honestly, seeing all like the characters as their younger selves, like when Akihiko and Mitsuru was like in middle school or something like that, that was pretty cool to see. They looked so young. It was hilarious. I really wish there was just more to it for a $40 DLC. Like, to compare it to like Elden Ring, that is literally its own. It could literally be Elden Ring 2. It could genuinely be just Elden Ring 2 for $40. And honestly, I would have paid more for it because that's how good it was. But for this DLC, like honestly, this was just I probably wouldn't even pay more than $20 for this DLC, and I got it on sale. Like, I don't know. I probably should have listened to the reviews on the Steam page because I think it was mostly negative or something like that. I'm not sure. I got to search it up, but yeah, I think the reviews were like mostly negative for the DLC, and I didn't listen to the thing because I was like, I'm gonna play the DLC regardless of like what it says. So, but you know what? I'm glad I played it because I needed to see the continuation of the story. I actually didn't think that there was anything more to it after I finished the base game. So, interesting. But that's all I really had to say. I just wanted to get it off my chest real quick. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.